Hi guys, this is my review of the DaYan 6 PanShi. In my opinion, this cube is still about 50-50-ish. So the meaning of this cube in Chinese is solid as a rock. So this cube is supposed to be stable, solid, and firm when it's unused. So the first thing you might realize is the change of stickers on this cube. Yes, I've replaced the stickers. I replaced these with ZBW 51 Morphans ZBW DaYan Guhong and Zanchi set. So the colors are really contrast quite well. So I actually do really like the shade. So before I get into turning, I have taken out the torpedoes pre-installed into this cube, because many people have said that you don't really need torpedoes in this because this cube is already pop resistant, and with the torpedoes it makes it even worse, so it makes it want to catch and all that internally. So I've taken it out, and I have to say it really does improve the turning. So if you want to get one, don't pre-install the cube. But as I've heard, DaYan has with the when they have released more and more of the PanShis, like the older, not older generation, but the older, like the probably should I say the newer PanShis will don't have any torpedoes pre-installed into it. So yeah, so you don't have to worry about that if you're getting one in the future. So the turning on this cube is quite clunky and clicky. So I'll just do some turning, some algorithm, so you guys can see what I mean by that. So the feel of this PanShi is kind of like the mix of a Wit-U and a Wit-Long mixed together. It has like the airy, clunky feel of the Wit-U and the smooth, fast feel of the Wit-U. Wait, it has the airy feel of the Wit-Long, and the smooth, fast feel of the Wit-U. I'm not really a fan of that type of feel for cubes. I'm more into a kind of smooth, either a smooth cube like a Guhong Vision 2 or a like crispy, fast cube like the Zanchi. But if you're really into the Wit-U and Wit-Long turn, I'm pretty sure you'll be, really quite like the feel of this PanShi. And also, if you're wondering which of the DaYan series this feels closest to, I have to say the DaYan Lingyang version 1, which I have, and it does not feel exactly the same. It's just the one I think it feels closest to, because there are no other ones in the DaYan series that feel anything like this. I know the Guhong definitely doesn't, because this is not really a smooth cube. The Zanchi is more of a little crispiness, but the Lingyang is more crispy, if that makes any sense to you guys. And the corner cutting on this cube is alright. When I try to cut 45, like in my regular reviews, I do this. Some cubes does it easily, some cubes don't. But this, it does do it easily, but it always tries to want to catch in sometimes when you want to do a 45-degree cut. Oh, center cat pop. That's the first time. But whenever I try to cut this, I have to squeeze in to make it cut. But if I just do it regularly, it does it quite well as well. But sometimes in some sides, look, like here, it catches and it wants to pop out. So it's probably due to a tensioning issue, but yeah, whatever. So reverse cutting, it does it quite easy, line to line. Let's go line to line. So it does it quite easily. And for lockups and pops go, lockups on this cube does happen. It's sometimes due to the fact that the corner piece wants to catch onto the centerpiece, so it makes the centerpiece want to turn. If I can get one, maybe not this time. Like here, I know I'm exaggerating this, but sometimes it just tends to want to catch onto the centerpiece and rotate. The centerpiece, it tends to rotate is because it's based on the 42mm center mechanism, where they've taken off the cylinder, which I'll show you later on in the mechanism section. But it just tends to want to catch because that cylinder is not there anymore, so the centerpiece is not really stable anymore, so it tends to want to catch down. And it also makes it uncomfortable to solve and feels really weird when you try to speed solve this. When I just do turns like this, it feels alright, but when I do a solve, it just doesn't feel that right. And for pops go, it does sometimes pop. I have had a pop in the unboxing if you guys didn't see that, and that was due to the cube being too loose, and this it did pop once, and it's just because the tension wasn't that good. But when I try to cut something like this, it always tries to pop out. But in like regular soles, when I do some regular soles like T-perms or whatever, when I do F2L, I haven't had any pops on that, so it's just the tensioning issue. If you don't want your cube to pop, just tension it right. So I'll cut this section. I'll cut to the next section, which I'll show the mechanism. So I'll be right back. So the mechanism of the DaYan PanShi resembles has the features of the Lingyang, Nanhui, Guhong, and Zanchi, so which is pretty much all of the DaYan speed cubing series. So let's take a look at the centerpiece now. Let's put all these to a side and just look at it. Centerpiece. Let me zoom up on it. So the centerpiece resembles the Lingyang version 1, which I have, and the Guhong version 1 and version 2. So as you can see here, first thing you can see is the similarity in the tabs. You can see that they have tabs. There's like a tab that curls in, it like dips in just like the Lingyang, so it bulges out then dips back in. And as for the bottom middle section of the centerpiece, you can see that it resembles like the DaYan Guhong version 1, where it has that like kind of curtain kind of look to it. When you draw pictures, there's like the curves kind of look to it. So yeah. And at the bottom section, this is what I mean by when I was talking about the lockups and pops section. This is what I mean by it. So this is based off the 42mm mini Zanchi. So they've taken out the cylinder holder, and what I think causes the cube to have that locky kind of catchy feel is, if you just imagine this, comparing this has no cylinder, okay? So just imagine this, because once this goes in, the screw just isn't. So the screw itself holds like the whole of the layer. So imagine this: if I put this in and just screw it in a bit, and just imagine this wiggles around. This is what makes the cube kind of flimsy, kind of locky feel to it, because it makes it feel like, like wiggle around. And if you imagine it having like a cylinder, just imagine it as a shield. There's a shield on the, let me just take the springs out. There's a shield on the screw itself. So just imagine this. It's just like the Zanchi or whatever previous models, the the cylinder shape thing is supposed to, glide around the core nice and easily without it moving side to side or wiggling side to side. So having that shield around here is so much better than having just one screw in there stabilizing the whole of the layer. Comparing this to having let me grab a shield, having this stuck onto here and just gliding around nice and easily. So which one is better, do you think? So I personally think having the cylinder will help. If the cylinder is attached onto it, I think the cube PanShi itself will be much better. So let's set this to a side and let's take a look at the hardware. So the screw, springs, washers, and the core are all based on the 42 and 50mm mini Zanchi. So if you have any missing hardware or anything, you can always replace it with your, if you have like a spare mini Zanchi around, if you have a missing hardware in a PanShi, you can always replace it. So it's just based off the mini Zanchi series or the hardware. So let's put this to a side and let's take a look at the center caps. It's just a regular center cap, nothing too fancy. It's just slimmer than the previous models. So now let's get into the edges. The edges resemble the DaYan Zanchi, as you can see here. It's a similar kind of bumps on the two sides here. You can see the bumps. And the bumps on the PanShi is located slightly lower than the DaYan Zanchi, as you can see here. And also there is an indent on the PanShi which allows the corner to glide along, and this is also where the contact point is. So when you want to loop, you make sure you loop a bit on some of the edge pieces here, the indent, because that's where the corner fits into. With the tab here itself, which I'll talk about later, it glides along, so you want a bit of lube there to help it glide along nicely. And let's take a look at the corner. The corner resembles the Nanhui and the DaYan Zanchi. So in the top section you can see here there's the dips. Okay, there's the regular dips on the regular DaYan speed cubes. And looking down at the middle section, it kind of resembles the DaYan Nanhui, having the shield or whatever, this layer here, the tab kind of look to it. So it helps it just, I don't know what it does, but it just just kind of resembles the Lanhui, as you can see here. It's much larger and it's much more circular compared to the Lanhui, which is much triangular, as you can see here. And for the bottom section of it, this resembles the DaYan Zanchi, in which it curves in. You can see here, like the Zanchi as well, it has the bump that curves in. And looking at the very bottom of the three-way corner split, this is also one of the reasons why the cube has that locky, catchy feel to it, is because the three-way corner split, looking at the regular Zanchi, you can see how they fit nice and snug in there together. Let me focus this. Oh, hold up. You can see how it just fits nice and snugly. It's just small wee gaps. It's not too big. It just fits nice and snug in there. But if you look at the PanShi, you can see that the holes are much bigger. They don't want to stick together. They don't tend to want to stick together. And this is where some people's corner broke because of this. Because it's so flimsy, when you try to insert your corner in, it tends to bend and snap back. And this bottom section here is really quite flimsy. I can already feel it wiggling a bit. So be careful if you want to assemble your DaYan PanShi. And this also, when sometimes with the pieces, it probably catches onto the core here or something. Somehow internally it just grinds and catches on. So just be careful about that. So let's take a look at the size comparison of the corner, edge, and centerpiece. As you can see here, the centerpiece compared to the DaYan Guhong Vision 2 it's slimmer, you can see here, and it's also taller, longer. You can see here, easily see, it's so much slimmer than the DaYan Guhong Vision 2, and comparing to the DaYan, which I compared before, you can see the top section is about the same size, but the middle section here, it's a bit fatter. Taking a look at the edge piece now, you can see it's fatter, in which the bumps are, much more fatter. It just bulges out more than the DaYan Zanchi. And also torpedoes it's based off the 42 and 50mm torpedoes, but in the for the newer PanShis coming out, DaYan has said they will not include the the torpedo in it, because there is just no need for it. So yeah, so you don't have to worry about torpedoes. You can see there once again, last looks. Look, it almost fits perfectly. It looks like edges and edges can grind or whatever together, grind and glide together. And the corner size comparison you can see there, compared to a DaYan Zanchi, the stalk is longer. As you can see, if I already put them side to side, the stalk is longer, and the base on the Zanchi is much wider, which also gives more stability to the cube, in my opinion. And compare it to the Lanhui piece, you can see the Lanhui is much more stubby and short and fat, compared to the PanShi. It's much more longer and longer and nicer looking. So that are just the hardware mechanism of the DaYan PanShi. So I'll come back with my conclusion and recommendation of the cube. So my final recommendation of this cube is, if you're a heavy Zanchi or Guhong Vision 2 user like I am, the PanShi will not replace it, because it just doesn't live up to the standards, and it's just has that different feel compared to the Zanchi or the Guhong Vision 2. So once again, at the end of the day, it's up to you yourself to decide whether or not you want to purchase one, whether or not you want to try it out yourself. I have I'm not going to hold you back from doing it. I hope this review doesn't hold you back, just gives you an idea of what the cube is about. And if you want one, just go grab one and try it for yourself. It's it's not a bad cube, as it has its own good and bad things, but yes, sure, at the end of the day, it's you yourself asking yourself if you want one or not. So, and if you're just wondering if this is my main, as I said before, no, it's not my main. The Zanchi and the Guhong Vision 2 are still my current main speed cube for 3x3. So I hope you guys enjoyed my review of the DaYan 6 PanShi, and please leave a like and favorite this video, as it helps this video get seen to others, so other people can see this video as well. And if you have any questions, please leave in the comment section below. And thank you guys for watching, and have a great day.